Hello, and welcome to Sex, Drugs, and Everything Else. I'm your host, Alex Trust, and for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to try and entertain you. The show is simple. I provide my weird perspective on subjects that interest me and that I hope will interest you. I'll give a truthful account of my experiences with topics some people are afraid to discuss in a public forum. I hope that this interaction will help destigmatize aspects of many people's lives that cause them shame and fear when they should not. These are decent people that love their families and give back to their community. People who live their lives well, but just a little bit different than the majority. So yes, I'll do segments about things like sex and how it impacts our lives and titillates our spirits. I'll speak about the nature of drugs and the role they play, both good and bad, on individuals and society as a whole. The everything else part is pretty open-ended, and I hope can be a discussion between myself and you, my listeners. If you have an opinion about any subject on the show, or if you want to suggest a subject for me to address, please leave me a message at sexdrugsandeverythingelse@gmail.com. Now, our show will be 3 segments with 3 subjects. Since this is our very first show and our very first segment, I'm going to tackle the first subject promised in the show's title, sex. Now that I say it, I realize what a huge and complex subject it is, so let's break it down a bit. So, let's talk first times. I identify as male/heterosexual, so I usually consider my first time as having intercourse, penis to vagina, with my high school girlfriend. But I didn't lose my virginity until I was 17. However, I became sexually active at about 13. So long before I slid my dude part into her hoo-ha, that magical prom night, I'd already experienced many sexual firsts. First kiss, first booby touch, first hand job, first blowjob, and so on. All special in their own way, of course, but they might be a little tame for our very first segment, so I kind of want to set a tone here, let you guys know what you're going to get. So I'm going straight to anal. Yep, that's right, we're going to explore the forbidden act of the attack on the old back door. As far as I can tell, it's something that's on most hetero men's to-do list, as long as they're the ones pitching. Now remember, if you don't like this first segment, if it makes you uncomfortable, don't let it stop you from listening to the rest of the episode. This is just 10 minutes of the whole thing. So, receiving as a man is a faux pas for too many straight males, and can still be an excuse for outdated teasing about being gay if you admit to even liking a finger in the back door during sex, much less full-on penetration, even when done by a woman. Crazy stupid, I think. Generally, I believe gay men enjoy anal sex more than gay women. To be fair, I don't know that for a fact. It's just the impression I get, backed up by some knowledge of basic anatomy. So that's where we're going to start, kids. Basic anatomy. Who knows what the prostate gland is? Well, first off, it is key to the pleasure men receive from anal play. Anyone who says a man's booty should only have an outdoor and isn't meant for anything else needs this anatomy lesson. In a nutshell, the prostate is a walnut-sized gland located between the bladder and the penis, just in front of and accessible via the rectum. It provides fluid that nourishes, protects, and is the delivery system for sperm. So basically, every time a man has an orgasm, the prostate is stimulated to the point of ejaculation. Thus, by accessing the prostate via the rectum, a man can be made to come without contact with the penis. Sounds to me like God or evolution or whoever, whatever, actually encourages butt play. It's just a stupid old prejudice notion, that big book that everyone reads, which I'm not totally against. I think it has a time and a place, but it is quite prejudiced. And that notion that anal sex is somehow dirty or wrong, for men at least, it just makes sense. I can't speak for women, but I have known more than one that say they enjoy anal sex or some kind of butt play. I will hypothesize that most women who are dead set against it are probably just scared to try it, or embarrassed, or maybe both. So let's try and lay out some ground rules for your first time trying anal. We will start with giving. The most important thing you can do is so easy. Communication with your partner. Let them know what you like, what makes you comfortable, and vice versa. Don't just go for it one night. Even a finger back there might be a shock to your partner, unless you've discussed it. Next, build up to it. You've talked about it, gotten consent, and now you're in bed with them. Don't just go right for the butt. Foreplay is important. Stimulate your partner. Even tease them a bit. Go down on them. Run your tongue to their perineum and then to the back door. Make them feel comfortable and not rushed. If you are with a woman, I suggest working on their clit for a while to get them worked up. Then and only then, move toward penetration. Number 3, lube. Lube is key, my friends. Too much might freak them out and too little might hurt them. So this is a Goldilocks situation. Use common sense. Not too much, not too little. Now, the most important part for first timers. When it's time to go in, be careful. Do not just ram it in and start thrusting. Whether man or woman, a virgin rectum has never had anything go in, only out. I think the reason a lot of people don't like it after trying it once is because it is done wrong. So, that first 30 seconds is crucial. Slide it in slowly and gently and leave it in. Do not back out right away. Do you know what backing out feels like to a virgin rectum? It feels like you're pooping. And that is many people's fear. Fear of embarrassment or of seeming dirty or gross. This can turn a person off to anal forever. That was the case with my first time giving. My high school girlfriend let me try it on my birthday, and I did it all wrong. She hated it. We never tried it again. Hopefully the poor girl has had better experiences with it since then, as I'd hate to have to ruin it for her for life. So, you leave it in while you play with her clit and start to build toward an orgasm. Once she is starting to respond, then and only then should you slowly and gently back out a little. Then slowly and gently back in. Wash, rinse, and repeat until you end up with a solid rhythm that your partner will hopefully now associate with a decent orgasm. At the very least, she will be more willing to try it again with you instead of just feeling dirty and ashamed. It's a simple process, but beware the nuance. Like most first times, it's usually at least a little awkward. So if it doesn't go perfectly, don't let that get you down. Practice will make it so much better. Now, if it is your first time receiving, man or woman, my initial advice remains the same. Talk to your partner. Let them in on what gets you going. Don't be embarrassed or ashamed. Those feelings are the enemy of a healthy sex life. If your partner were to mock you, chances are pretty good that this is not the person you should be with. It would certainly suck. I get it. But I think it's better to know the truth about your partner and possibly lose them as opposed to being unhappy or unfulfilled, stuck with an incompatible mate. I admit sex isn't the only important issue in a relationship, but make no mistake, it is important. So now you're in bed with your man or woman and you're going to receive for the first time. Engage in foreplay, build up the pleasure and excitement, and when you're ready, let your partner know. Try to relax. If you tense up too quickly, it will be that much harder for your partner to insert gently. Once they are all the way inside you, then you can clench a bit, holding them inside you. Let them know with your body what you like. Guide them by moving along with them in a rhythm you find comfortable. Men will quickly discover how good a prostate massage feels, and many men end up preferring it. My first time receiving, I was lucky enough to have a girlfriend who knew what she was doing, and so it was a positive experience for me when it's so easy for it to go wrong. I won't pretend to be an expert on this. I'm really not. I'm just a guy with some ideas. But I believe my advice is sound. At age 42, I now have a decent amount of experience to draw from, and I know what has worked and what hasn't over the years. I wish someone would have broken it down for me when I was younger. The mistakes I made would have been easy to avoid, and there would have been so much more pleasure in my life. So that's it. Take it or leave it. And always remember to practice safe sex. At all times. Practice safe sex at all times. If anyone has any questions or comments, please leave me a message at sexdrugsandeverythingelse@gmail.com. Coming up on segment 2, we're going to do something a little topical. We're going to talk about being stuck at home during this COVID crisis. I know it's almost over, but what if we get round 2? Coming up next on Sex, Drugs, and Everything Else. Welcome to segment 2 of Sex, Drugs, and Everything Else. So, how are you people feeling dealing with being stuck at home during this COVID crisis? I know it's starting to get a little better now. Things are starting to open up, but when I wrote this, it was a couple weeks ago, and quite frankly, we still couldn't do anything. I'll be honest with you listeners, this so-called pandemic hasn't really affected me that much. I live a pretty isolated existence at the best of times. On an average day, I speak to maybe 1 to 3 people, only one of which do I speak more than basic pleasantries. Hello, how are you? I'm good. Have a nice day. I will say to the checkout person that is waiting on me, how are you doing? What's going on? How's your family? If I know them or something. The rest of my dialogue is usually saved for my wife, or maybe Facebook if I'm feeling frisky. Please don't misunderstand me. I like it this way. I'm not lonely. I just feel more at ease when I'm by myself, and I know there's a lot of people like that out there. It's nothing to be ashamed of. There's a distinctive difference between being lonely and purposely isolating yourself. Hell, people get lonely when they're surrounded by other people all the time. I know I've felt that way over the years. Different types of social situations. Parties are a slippery slope. Beta-type personalities like myself, the anxiety of being surrounded by strangers whom you're supposed to somehow connect with amidst a loud, unfamiliar environment can be simply overwhelming. Even family-type gatherings are daunting, as my anxiety keeps me from speaking and interacting in the positive, friendly way that I'd like to. So I recognize this about myself and accept that I am just more comfortable by myself or with my wife. My question to you, dear listener, is how have you been faring in this government-mandated isolation we seem to be stuck in? Are you getting along with your family better or worse than you thought you would? My wife and I have been lucky, as we have no children and our employment hasn't been interrupted. However, we enjoy each other's company so much that it wouldn't really matter anyhow. I do apologize, but I will tend to brag about my marriage, as it is the one and only quantifiable event and ongoing act that I can count as a true win in my life. Whatever mistakes I've made or will make, my relationship with Erin is not one of them. So, once again, the question is, how are all of you good people hanging in there? Are the kids driving you nuts? Or are you taking this as an opportunity to bond with them? Maybe teach them something you usually wouldn't have time to, or find something that you can learn together. Maybe, in the face of so much potential hardship and reminders of our fragile mortality, we should be gravitating toward the positive things and thoughts in life. It's not as hard as it may sound. Take the time to find the bright side of life. And yes, even during a pandemic, why not? What can't we do right now that is so important? I don't miss bars or restaurants or movie theaters. Not very much, anyway. I've got a fridge full of food and the almighty Netflix and other streaming services. We can all watch or listen to anything we want to, like no other time in human history. But we're bored? How dare we? We better get used to this shit as well. Mark my words, the phrase pandemic season is gonna become a thing. This one wasn't too bad, all things considered. but this has been nothing but a practice run. The worst is probably still ahead of us. Maybe not this year or the next, but it's coming. Coming in the near future, I guarantee. Now, that doesn't mean to despair. Bad things have been happening to us since the dawn of our species. Never before have we been in such an advantageous position as we are now, however. We have the ability to come together as a human race and prop each other up until we are all near the top. That means all of us. Not 1% of us, not 2% of us, 100% of us. It's as easy as being kind to each other. It's as easy as listening for as long or longer than you speak. It's as easy as meaning what you say and believing what you mean. It's as easy as having a little faith in your fellow humans, no matter what has occurred in the past. As a great human once said, learn from the past, live in the present, plan for the future. If we do these things with compassion in our hearts, we can never go wrong. If you have any questions or comments about this segment, please contact me at sexdrugsandeverythingelse@gmail.com. Coming up, segment 3, we're going to feature some local artists, both musical and literary. Stay tuned. I want to hear from you people. This should be a dialogue. Coming up next on segment 3 of our first episode, we're going to listen to some local artists. Specifically today, we are privileged to have a song by an awesome musician and producer, Nico, and his song Miracle. After that, I'll read an excerpt from a novel called Henchman by T. O'Shea, a local author who I personally find very amusing. So stay tuned for the fun. Back in 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to segment 3 on the maiden voyage of sex, drugs, and everything else. I'm going to take the time now to introduce you to 2 local artists. The first is a performer, songwriter, and producer by the name of Nico. He's been making music for as long as I've known him, and his songs get better every year. So listen up and enjoy. I'll see you on the other side.
I'm looking for a miracle. I'm at the end of the road. I need the impossible in my life. I'm looking for a miracle. I'm at the end of the road. I need the impossible in my life. This is for the people that think their life is over. Whatever don't kill us, yeah, only makes you stronger. I'm just a glass ready to break. I'm a earth to watch me shake, but my heart I won't let break. Man, for you it's not too late, so keep it going, keep it moving, keep your mind on never lose it. Lift your head to the sky, stay strong and live your life. Spread your wings, step up and fly. That's the real best. I for all of them I sacrifice. Just for them I won't have strike. Potential in the great mind is what you really have. You got a greater best life, so just make it last. I'm like a blast from the past, I push it to your future. I ain't gonna let this world hurt you or abuse you, but it's up to you just to take a stand. Figure things out, make your life plan. I'll be your guide, I'll be your friend. Just trust in me and take my hand. Let's go. I'm at the end of the road. I need the impossible in my life. I'm looking for a miracle. I'm at the end of the road. I need the impossible in my life. I'm looking for a miracle. I'm at the end of the road. I need the impossible in my life. I'm looking for a miracle. I'm at the end of the road. I need the impossible. Fortune, baby. In my life.
You're looking for a way out of this dangerous form. A not so strong tree trying to survive the storm. And the lightning and thunder makes you wonder if there's a rise, or will your home be the bottom when you see your demise. But you're still pressing on, wanting something miraculous to occur in this lifetime. Like no more of having less, no more of all the stress that you're keeping inside. Plus all the people holding you back can't provide a once lost path that is now found, that will get your roots out of the ground and set you free. Only God has the power to do such a thing, and because I follow him, greatness this I'll be. And for all the winters freezing and the summer sweating and the pile of bills that you're always getting, understand there's a way. The Lord made one for me and he will make one for you. Plus it's true.
I'm looking for a miracle. I'm at the end of the road. I need the impossible in my life. I'm looking for a miracle. I'm at the end of the road. I need the impossible in my life.
I need a miracle, cause right now I'm a little hysterical, trying to break down the walls of Jericho and overcome my fear and become a hero. But it's cold out here when it gets below zero. I never knew life could be so crazy. All the bad and wrong I did couldn't faze me, but my past has come back to haunt me. I see in the church praying is where I need to be, so I'm on my knees asking God forgiveness, trying to get the strength to get past this. All the years I hid behind myself, thinking my life come easy, well, good luck and wealth, but that was just my super ego that I felt. I didn't want to deal with the cards that I was dealt. In my own misery, I wanted to dwell, cause deep down inside, I wasn't well.
Hey. I'm at the end of the road. I need the impossible in my life. I'm looking for a miracle. I'm at the end of the road. I need the impossible in my life.
Hey, never stop praying. Never stop praying. Never stop praying.
My life. I'm looking for a miracle. I'm at the end of the road. I need a miracle in my life.
Hey, what'd you think of that? I like it. Pretty good, huh? If you'd like to hear more of Nico's work, please go to SoundCloud and look up Nico or look up his group Fortune, F-O-R-4-U-N-E. This is one of Fortune's songs, so please look them up and give them your love. And tell your friends. If you don't like it, well, shit. Keep it to yourself. Nah, just kidding. This is a safe space. Alright, next is an excerpt from a novel called Henchman by T. O'Shea. It's a humorous take on the life of a henchman working for a supervillain, fighting superheroes and pulling off dangerous capers and crimes just to show the world who's boss, while giving the real story of who and what superheroes and supervillains really are. Okay, ready, here we go. I aim my Mark V laser cannon at a flying armored police assault vehicle and blow a hole clean through the engine block, sending it spiraling to the ground amidst an earth-shaking explosion, when I suddenly stop and think, maybe I should have done something different with my life. Maybe it's because we are getting our asses handed to us yet again, my men getting blasted apart all around me, that made me think being a lawyer might not have been all bad. Sunscorch, one of the most powerful heroes in the world, had just shown up minutes before and was plowing through my men like they weren't even there. He took blast after blast from our las cannons, but it never seemed to affect him in the least. He just stood there with that look. You know the one. The half smile on his lips, one eyebrow arched, his eyes overflowing with a radiant golden light, 1 foot forward, chest out, arms akimbo. His goddamn Rolling Stones cover in real life. Yeesh. I could have been an accountant or designed roller coasters or something. I saw my second in command place and activate the last anti-gravity device, so I called the retreat. "Get the fuck out of here, boys! Over the side!" I shouted at my men. Sunscorch broke his pose and let loose with his main offensive power. Beams of energy shot from his hands and cooked 6 of my men right in their armor, blasting them and 4 others right off the side of this 140-story skyscraper. The 4 that didn't take the direct hit should be okay, I thought. Our armor had a small anti-grav unit in each one, so they should float down to the street. The other 6 were toast, though. I scrolled through the list of the dead on my heads-up display. All good men. I could have managed a Walmart, become a college professor, What had I been thinking? What the hell was a Class A hero like Sunscorch doing here anyway? Me and my men worked for Professor Calamity, a very political supervillain who had an agenda dating back to the 60s and all that free love, utopian society BS they all loved so well back then. He'd developed super intellect and some Class B ESP abilities from taking heroic doses of LSD. He'd pulled some good capers and made his political points successfully over the years, but he was not in Sunscorch's league, nowhere near it. The professor was currently down on the street in his 6-story mech suit, trashing Starbucks and local modern art stores to keep the heat off the real objective. 2 teams were working on the Philip Morris building, intending to blast it right into orbit. Literally. My team's goal was the placement of industrial anti-gravity units. Team 2 was tasked with severing the building's foundations with explosives. My team's objective was complete. Well, as long as Sunscorch didn't start trashing the anti-grav units. See, I'll tell you, I'm a smart and dedicated guy. I could have been anything, maybe even a governor or a garbage man. I felt the building shudder as I organized my men over the side and the hell away from Sunscorch. This, I knew, meant the other team had severed the foundation. Now it was a double race from death. Death by alien hero, or by taking a ride on a tobacco baron's soon-to-be orbiting building. 2 minutes and this sucker was off. Really though, why was Sunscorch here? Captain USA wouldn't have been a surprise, or maybe Lone Wolf, or the Law Brigade, but goddamn Sunscorch? We should have been beneath his notice. He usually fought ancient gods or alien invasions, or at the very least the Class A supervillains that were going for either world domination or world destruction. In the grand scheme of things, the professor and us were just political activists. Sure, we did more than just wave signs and chant and march and shit, but motherfucking Sunscorch? Come on, talk about bad luck. Maybe if I live through this, I'll go back to college, get my real estate license. Most of my men make it off the building without being blasted to kingdom come by that prick alien Adonis, and I find myself the last man standing. Sunscorch lands right in front of me before I can make my exit, and I know I'm fucked. He's only 2 feet away, looking right at me. Power crackles across his body, running up and down that gold and blue suit he's made so famous. The double SS on his chest, so iconoclastic, there isn't a place on earth that it isn't known. My knees start to shake. This is the man that traveled God only knows how many light years, as a baby, to Earth, the last of his race, fueled by our stupid yellow sun. His planet had a green one or something. He had defeated everyone or everything that had challenged him over the last 50 years. He'd saved the Earth from unspeakable threats so many times it was silly, and he still didn't look a day over 24. He had to be at least 65 by now. I don't know why this crossed my mind now, but that really didn't seem fair. I was only 36 and I was already going gray around the temples. That smug, handsome alien bastard. My fear gets kicked into the background and I start thinking again. If I'm screwed anyway, I might as well try my weapon of last resort. Professor Calamity had given each team leader what he called a null void bomb. He guaranteed it would stop absolutely anything. I'm not sure he had freaking Sunscorch in mind as anything, but what the hell? Time slows down as Sunscorch raises his fist to blast me. I pluck the bomb off my belt, hit the trigger button, and lob it toward that golden hero as I throw myself over the side of the building. I see Sunscorch casually catch the null void bomb in one hand and smile at it condescendingly as my view is cut off by my plunge toward the street. 3, 2, 1. Something happens at the top of that building. What? I'm not sure. There's light beyond brightness. There's dark like an endless night in the abyss. There's noise and fire and mayhem, and then there is silence. Absolute silence. And no Sunscorch. I double and triple check the cameras we mounted on the anti-grav drives in my heads-up display as I float to the earth. No sign of him. I scan the skies, expecting to see him streaking toward me in revenge at any second. Nothing. There's a crater where he stood, a perfectly smooth crater. I think I killed Sunscorch. Holy shit. I just annihilated Earth's greatest champion. Dear Lord, why didn't I go to dental school? I would have been happy adjusting kids' braces every day. I'm almost at street level when the Philip Morris building shoots into the sky. We'd done it. We'd accomplished our mission. I landed amid the chaos of blasted police cruisers and smashed up storefronts. The professor was sounding the general retreat, and I should have been humping it double time toward his mech and the aerial escape that it would provide. But I just stand there, watch that big-ass building shoot like a missile right off this planet we call home. What the hell was I doing here? Who would want to live this kind of life? Sure, it was exciting, but the danger? Okay, the pay was awesome, but who takes these kind of risks? I'm not a hero killer. But now I was. Why did I ever choose to be a henchman of all things? Then I remembered. Hit me like a punch to the forehead. The reason. It was the reason for most of man's follies. The reason was a girl. That was the end of Chapter 1. If you want to read more, please email me at sexdrugsandeverythingelse@gmail.com and I'll send you in the right direction. T. O'Shea's website is currently being developed, so I will pass along that info when I have it. It will be soon. So what did you think? Worth listening to? I hope you enjoyed it as much as I hope you enjoyed the rest of our first episode. Once again, please direct questions or comments to sexdrugsandeverythingelse@gmail.com. We need your feedback. The show can only become better with your help. So thank you for taking the time to listen, and I'll see you next episode, which is coming soon. May love and understanding brighten all of your days. Peace out.